Hello everyone, this is Professor Sexton with a video lecture about preparing for your midterm exam. Just to let you know that your midterm exam will be next week. It will be available from 6 a.m. on Thursday, October 13 till 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, October 15th. So you can start it at any time at 6 a.m. on Thursday, October the 13th, and then you have until Saturday, October 15th at 11:59 p.m. It is a time exam, so you only have 3 hours in which to do the exam. And the way that Blackboard figures time exams is that once you start, the time continues to go. Even though there is an option to save the exam and come back to it, the clock still ticks down. So my best piece of advice for you here is don't start the exam until you have the full 3 hours. Most of you will not need the full 3 hours to take the exam. Most of you will be able to finish the exam like within an hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours, especially if you prep ahead of time beforehand. And that way, so when you open the exam, there's not a lot of complications or things that you'll have to do. And the reason for this video is to go over the exam format with you. So the midterm is in two parts. Part one is on common sentence errors. And what will happen in part one is you'll be given 10 items, and these will either be comma splices, run-ons, or fragments. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to correct the mistake. This is similar to that second quiz that you did on correcting comma splices, run-ons, and fragments. So if you like, you can go back and look at that second quiz, and that'll give you some indication. Also, in terms of prepping for this part of the exam, what you might want to do is you might want to go back over the common sentence error document, and I'm sharing that with you right now. So this is that document that tells you what a comma splice is, the 4 ways to correct a comma splice, what a run-on sentence is, the 4 ways to correct a comma splice, a run-on, and what a fragments are and the ways to correct fragments. Keep in mind that with fragments, you might have to add words or take words out. With comma splices and run-ons, there are 4 different ways to correct them. I don't care which way that you use, just as long as you correct it. So keep in mind with comma splices and run-ons, you can make them separate sentences by, with the comma, putting a period there and capitalizing the next, the first letter of the next word. You can add a comma in the coordinating conjunction. If you do a coordinating conjunction, remember that not all coordinating conjunctions mean the same thing. So you want to make sure that you're using the right coordinating conjunction. There's a document with the 7 coordinating conjunctions, and, but, yet, or, for, so, nor. And they tell you when you use one as opposed to the other, because the 7 coordinating conjunctions are not interchangeable. So you want to make sure that if you are using the coordinating conjunctions, that you're using the correct one to correct the sentence. Also, just to let you know, all the documents that I'm sharing with you during this video lecture is in a content folder called Preparing for the Midterm Exam. So you can just easily go to that document, that content folder, which I will put into course documents that you can review, and all of these things are listed there. So you can go over them at your own pace instead of trying to keep up with this video lecture. Part 2 is on MLA citation. And what you'd be with part 2, what's going to happen here, you'll be given 2 entries. One is for poetry and one is for short stories. And for one, you'll be given a sentence and a quotation. For the other one, you'll be given a phrase and a quotation. And then what you'll have to do is you'll have to incorporate the quotation into the sentence or the phrase using correct punctuation and correct parenthetical citation. For review here, what you may want to do is you may want to go back over the using quotation document, where in this document, it goes over how to quote from short stories, novels, and essays, showing you an example, showing you what parenthetical citations look. Keep in mind that for short stories, parenthetical citation either has the author's last name in it, or don't know why it does that. It either has the author's last name in it or it doesn't have the author's last name in it. Let me just bring this back up. So in this case here, the author's last name is in the citation because it's not in the sentence. Here, the author's last name is not in the citation because the author's last name is in the sentence. Keep in mind, this is only for short stories. For poetry, it's different. For poetry, remember, you only give the line numbers when you give a quotation. So like for instance here, this quotation is from lines 13 through 14, so you only give the line numbers. What you'll want to do is you'll want to read over that using quotation document ahead of time before in your preparation for it. Also, what I've done too to kind of make this easier for you, I've also included in content folder a sample of what the question will actually look like and one with explanations. Unfortunately, my computer is acting up and not giving me access to the file. Oh, finally, here we go. Um, so let me show you part two. So this is what part two would look like. So you see here where it has use an introductory sentence, A, to introduce quotation, B, it gives you information from where the quotation is, the line numbers, and the poem. Keep in mind, all the information here does not have to be used here. And then, so this one is for poetry in a sentence. This one is for a phrase and a short story. So in that content folder file, I give you this, where it shows you how the exam will look when you access it. But what I also do is I give you a follow-up one where I answer the where I answer it so you can see what the answer look like. So this would be the question. This is the answer. Pay close attention to punctuation marks. Pay close attention where they are not. Pay close attention to what is poetry, as this is poetry. Pay close attention to what is short story. This one is short story. Notice that with this short story, you have the last name in the parenthetical citation because it is not in the sentence itself. This part, there's two entries. This is 20 points total. This is the part that in the past students have struggled with because it is so very detail oriented. So you do want to make sure that you spend a good deal of time looking at that part. Also, what I've done is I created a practice quiz. And with the practice quiz, if you go into quizzes, what you'll see is you'll see a practice quiz that looks just like what you saw that practice midterm. And it gives you an opportunity to do it as a practice. It I will score it, but these points don't count against you, so they don't go into your grade calculation. And also, this is optional. You don't have to do the practice quiz, but if you want practice for what part two will look like and you want feedback from me before you take the actual midterm, I really advise you to do this just so I have enough time to grade them and so you get them back. If you decide to do the practice quiz on part two, it will be due Sunday night, October 9th by 11:59 p.m. I've made it due by that time so that on Monday I can go through and grade them all, and then that way you'll have feedback and you'll know if you're on the right track or not. So that's part two. Part three is an essay, and for part three, you're going to write an essay where you're going to be given 4 topics, but you only have to choose one. For each of these topics, you're going to be given a line or lines from a poem. And the first thing that you're going to be asked to do is to analyze what the lines of that poem mean. Then the second thing that you'll be asked to do in your essay response is explain how those lines that you've analyzed answers a question about the poem. There are going to be 4 poems from which you can choose. Those Winter Sundays, My Papa's Waltz, My Last Duchess, and The Japanese Wife. With the topics, I will give you the lines that you need to analyze, and I will give you the question that you need to answer. So it's not a matter that you have to come up with your own lines and you have to come up with your own question. All of that will be there. Keep in mind, there will be 4. Only do 1. Every semester, I have students who try to do all 4 or try to do 2. You can't do that in that amount of time. So look at the 4, choose only one of the 4 in which to do. I know that this video lecture has probably been a bit quick, and I shared the documents quickly, but keep in mind that they are in that preparing for the midterm examination folder. So you can go to that folder and look at everything carefully yourself. I think part 1 and part 3 are going to be the easiest parts of the midterm, because part 1 you've already done in terms of correcting comma splices, fragments, and run-ons. And as I said before, go back and review that second quiz that you did on that, and it'll show you what you did right and what the correct answers are. Part 3 is over a poem and is actually less complicated than the poetry papers that you just completed. Part 2 is going to be the most difficult part of the exam. So once again, I do advise you to look closely at those documents about the using quotations, picking out the distinctions between what to do with a short story and what to do with a poem. Take the practice quiz. It's not going to hurt you in any way. It can only help you. And so all of those things you can use to prepare for the midterm exam. If you have any questions about the midterm exam, like if this video, there's something that's unclear, or you look at the documents and there's something that's unclear, you need further clarification, what's going to be required of you for the midterm, please, 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 please contact me and let me know. I want all of you to do well on this midterm. So hope you have a good week. And as I said again, please contact me if you have any questions. Bye.